On today's episode, we talk the 2021 Tough Mudder calendar with Carlo Piscitello. This is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome to the world's toughest podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's world's toughest mudder. Each week we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome back to World's Toughest Podcast. Thank you for listening. You are too kind. You are listening to the number one rated obstacle course racing podcast in the world because of listeners like you. Thank you very much. My name is Will Hicks. You can reach me at willhicks@gmail.com. You can follow the show on Instagram at World's Toughest Podcast. You can follow the OCR Report on Instagram at the OCR Report. And you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and I will read it in a future episode. As long as you're on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, you should check out the other shows in the OCR Report network. You can check out OCR Talk and Obstacle Running Adventures and Overcome and Run. And you can also check out a brand new podcast called OCR Coven with our own Kim DeVos. Kim DeVos is our social media. Congratulations, Kim. Let's talk some news. I want to preface this first story by saying I will give you no spoilers. I promise. I want to briefly talk about the first season or the new season of Eco Challenge that is on Amazon Prime. If you haven't seen it yet, that's okay. It just came out last, Friday, Saturday. But I promise you, no spoilers. I'm very sensitive to this. I don't want to know who won. I don't want to know who won, rather. I don't want to know who did good, who did bad. I don't want to know any of that before I watch the show, right? So I'm very sensitive to spoilers. So I turned off all my social media for 2 days, turned off my notifications, and just watched the show. So if you haven't watched it, it's cool. I just want to tell you my quick thoughts about it. And again, I promise you, spoiler free.
66 teams from 30 different countries have descended on Fiji.
I have no clue what to be afraid of. I'm about to find out.
To compete in the world's toughest race.
The course is relentless, so every step is a victory.
We came here to show the world who we are.
To make sure that those people who feel underrepresented feel that they have a voice.
I am a tough chick, and I'm proud of that.
I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. To do this race with my dad is a priceless experience.
We wanted to prove that the girls in India are strong and they can achieve anything.
This is not a normal adventure race. 671 kilometers, mountains.
I don't mind climbing, I mind dying.
Jungles.
I need help!
Rivers. Ocean.
4 hours of sleep in 4 days.
And it is brutal.
It's so hard.
It's the first adventure race that I have the feeling of arriving to a limit.
We can handle anything that comes, because we're in it together.
This is the closest we ever get to being superheroes.
But that's still going. It's a real testament to grit.
How long has he been like this? His conscious level is impaired.
You can watch the new season of World's Toughest Race Eco Challenge on Amazon Prime. All 10 episodes are now streaming. The main reason I wanted to watch the show was to see two athletes that you and I, well, really three, that you and I are very familiar with. Ryan Atkins and Rhea Coble were on a team representing Canada. They were two members of a four-man team. And Deanna Blegg was also on a team. Ryan Atkins is a 6-time champion of World's Toughest Mudder. Ray Coble is a 2-time champion, and Deanna Blegg is also a past champion of World's Toughest Mudder. We know them because of World's Toughest Mudder, and they are great athletes. Ryan Atkins is without a doubt, the greatest athlete in endurance obstacle course racing ever. And I was looking forward to seeing how they stacked up against a field of elite athletes from a sport that has some overlap with obstacle course racing. There's running. There's not obstacles per se, like going over walls or going under barbed wire. But it's definitely its own thing, right? Multi-day, 10-day long race, multi-stage adventure racing. It's a whole different animal compared to OCR. And I enjoyed watching a new sport with 3 athletes that I know well. The thing that draws me back to World's Toughest Mudder every year, it's 2 things. Well, it's more than 2 things, but 2 of the main things athletically. Watching people complete something amazing physically, whether it's someone who never thought they could go 24 hours, or whether it's someone getting their 50 miles completed right before the cutoff, or seeing Trevor Psychos and Chris Mendoza complete 200 miles between the 2 of them, battling for first place. That's one thing I love. I love the accomplishment. The other thing that I love, I'm not exactly sure why, but it's the glorious, victorious failure where someone has given it all they have and they are spent. There is nothing left in the tank. They are sore, they are tired, and they are beaten. And there is no shame in giving it everything you have and coming up short. There's nothing to be ashamed of at all. As much as I love the triumph, there is something beautiful in that glorious failure. And nothing to be ashamed of. It sucks at the time. It's no one likes to fail. But you can hold your head high. I'm not talking about quitting because you're too tired or your feet hurt. I mean, when you have taken the punches and you have been knocked down and you've gotten back up and you've been knocked down again and you've gotten back up, but no more. You are beaten and you are bloodied, but your head is still held high. That is one of the best things in the world, is to be in the arena with your head held high. And Eco Challenge delivers both of those things. They have accomplishment by elite level athletes and regular Joe athletes. And there is glorious failure that no one should be ashamed of. I enjoyed the show immensely, and we will talk about it more in the future after more of you had a chance to see all 10 episodes. Virtual Toughest Mudder is this weekend, Saturday night, August 22nd and 23rd. Are you ready? You can still sign up at toughmudder.com for $10. What else are you going to do with that $10? If you are participating, be sure to check your email for the official schedule, rules, and packing list. There's a lot of information. I'm not giving you everything you need. I will not give you everything you need. You need to check your emails from Tough Mudder. There will also be information coming out soon about if you want to do it on a treadmill, if you want to do it outside, different guidelines. But here is the packing list. I will give you the packing list. This is for both the US and the UK versions of the race. There are 10 items on this list you will need. 1, a roll of heavy-duty tape, duct tape, gaff tape, etc. 2, you will need 5 plastic cups, 16 and 20 ounces, like a solo cup. 3, you need a melon. Any durable variety, 3 to 8 pounds. Okay. You need a melon. It's not watermelon season, though. 3 to 8 pounds. Here are some melon ideas. These are from me. These are not from Tough Mudder. I went to the trouble of Googling types of melons for you. I did the work. Here are some melon options that are non-water. Cantaloupe. Honeydew. I'm going to blow some of your minds right now. If I asked you, what is the one food you see all over on race day at World's Toughest Mudder? What would you see? What is the most common food item you see at World's Toughest Mudder? You might not like the food item, but the correct answer is pickles and pickled juice. Where do pickles come from? You might know, but I promise you, not everyone listening right now knows the answer to this. Where do pickles come from? Have you ever seen a pickle tree? Have you ever bent over and got a pickle from a pickle bush? Pickle shrubbery? You have not. Pickles are made from cucumbers. And guess where cucumbers come from? The melon family. Cucumbers are part of the melon family, but they're kind of like the weird uncle that, like, you kind of got to give them a hug and you got to invite them over to Thanksgiving, but yeah. Cucumbers are like the weird aunt that maybe gets arrested at the city council meeting once in a while. Anyway, if you're going to get a cucumber, make sure it's a big one. It has to be at least 3 pounds. Here's the melon you don't want. The Kawano. Do you know what a Kawano melon is? It's that angry-looking horned melon. Skip that guy. Number 4, you need a sturdy backpack that you're comfortable running in. 5 is a flat horizontal surface with a raised edge. Table, cardboard box are 2 examples they give. 6 is 1 gallon jug of water or liquid of your choice. Here's the deal with a gallon of water. A gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. I don't know what other liquid you'd want to use other than water. A gallon of milk, 8.5 pounds. A gallon of gasoline is 6 pounds. So if you're looking to save your weight and increase your risk of injury at the same time, that's probably your best option. Don't run with a gallon of gasoline, please. That's not a good option. For my UK and European friends, a gallon of water is 3.8 liters, which is 3.8 kilograms. Of course, 1 liter of water weighs exactly 1 kilogram. Europe, you can shut up about the metric system. We know it's better. We're still not changing. You also need, number 7, access to a bed, bench, or low table. 8, for those at home, access to a shower or hose connection. There will be a modification for remote runners. Number 9, 2 tennis balls or other similar sized rubber balls. And number 10, timer or stopwatch can be on your phone. Are you doing Virtual Toughest this weekend? Let me know. willhicks@gmail.com. Let's read some iTunes reviews.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars.
First review comes from Gavin Wynn. Gavin writes, "Love the show. Makes a bad run great. I can't wait for Virtual Toughest and maybe see some fellow mudders in Prospect Park, Brooklyn, New York." Thank you, Gavin, for the kind words. Oh, I did not say Gavin writes 5 stars. Thank you for the 5 stars, Gavin. This is something Tough Mudders mentioned. They're encouraging it, actually. Like, if you can do it safely and social distance, groups of people are getting together. Gavin's doing it in Prospect Park, Brooklyn. You know, if you are in the Brooklyn area and you want to go run Virtual Toughest with Gavin, or fellow show listener, you should go check it out. Good luck, Gavin. I hope you do well this weekend. Carlo Piscitello, along with his co-host Josh Cox, host the YouTube show Piss and Cox. It's their names, so it's not offensive. Piss and Cox is the only show on YouTube dedicated to World's Toughest Mudder and the WTM community. You can find Piss and Cox on their new home on YouTube, the OCR Report. Very excited about that. Very excited to talk with Carlo today. Let's go to the phones. Carlo Piscitello, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Wilfred Allen Hicks. How are you, my friend?
Wilfred Allen Hicks is not even close.
Well, I assumed. What else? It's not really. What else would you, if your name was Will, isn't it always your name is Wilfred? I would think.
You know what? There are some Wilfreds out there, I'm pretty sure. But I go by William generally.
No, fine. Is that what your mom calls you when you're in trouble?
You know what? I had an Uncle Bill and my Uncle Billy, and my grandpa was Bill. And so I was William until like my mid-teens, late teens. And I was like, you know what? William sounds like English royalty. And we don't do royalty in America. So then I went to Will.
So, okay. So then now that I brought that up, I have to know. So what was because every mother has like when your mom calls you, but like in an aggravated fashion, like was there a way that she would call you when you knew you were in trouble? Like with me, it was the middle name. If I heard Carlo Vincent, I was like, oh crap. Like something happened.
Yeah, you know what? I think it was just William. I think that was when I knew I was in trouble. But you know what? When I was young, I was William, right? Like till, I don't know, 16, 17. My grandmother, till the day she died, she called me William. Like, of course. It was super sweet. And she was like the only person that, other than like when I was in trouble with my parents. But yeah, so when I hear William, I think it's my grandma. I mean, I don't think it's my grandma, but you know. Yep. Hey, Carlo, before we talk all this Tough Mudder stuff, how have you been this year with all the craziness?
Yeah, no kidding, right? I've been pretty fortunate, honestly. Like the company that I work for, we had about a 6-week shutdown where the business just, we weren't doing anything for 6 weeks. So I was home during that time. Really fortunate because we have this disaster relief fund that they started after the fires a couple of years ago. So we were able to get fully paid during that time. But really for the last 3.5 months or so, I've been back pretty much, full tilt, normal schedule, normal hours, social distancing, obviously, different protocols at work. But I also work the night shift, so it's not quite the same deal because it's, less staffing and we're pretty well spaced out. But yeah, so I can't really complain.
The main reason we're talking is Tough Mudder has released their 2021 calendar. 2020 is canceled. No World's Toughest, no regular Tough Mudders.
Right? Yeah.
What do you think about the 2020 schedule being canceled? What were your thoughts on that? How'd you feel when you found out?
Well, gosh, it's one of those things where like, I think we always kind of held out, and we've talked enough, but you're always kind of holding out hope. It's like, okay, we get into April, May, you're like, okay, fine. Well, maybe we got a shot at July. Maybe we got, for me, the biggest domino to fall was when Tough Mudder Chicago in mid-August was canceled. Then it was like, okay, this doesn't look good. Although the fact that Worlds was going to be in Texas, we are kind of like, come on, those guys are doing whatever they want over there. And then of course Texas blew up, and then that was the end of that. So even though it's like we all kind of knew it was coming, it still stung, when the official word did finally come out. So, yeah.
Let's talk about the calendar for next year. There are 19 regular events, 3 Toughest Mudders and World's Toughest. The first Tough Mudder of the year is April 10th at Tejon Ranch near Los Angeles. What do you think about that course?
I'm really excited for that. I will say I've seen in some of the groups that people are talking about that area as if it's going to be flat, and I would definitely warn them against that. I actually thought, until I looked it up, I thought that Tejon was coming from Northern California to Southern California. I thought it was actually before the Grapevine, but it's actually after. So we're up at like 4,000 feet, or at least the Tejon Pass is 4,000 feet. So I'm actually really excited about that because there is definitely some flat area in there if you look at like Google Maps or whatever. But then you're surrounded on all sides by mountains. So depending on where they do it, plus the toughest is going to be there also. So I got to think that's going to be a pretty good elevation course. I don't know if it'll be the same as like Glen Helen has been in previous years, which was always amazing. But I'm really excited about that. New venues in general get me excited. So, but that one too, it also cuts like 2 hours off my commute to a Tough Mudder. So that's nice too.
Yeah, the toughest a few years ago was held in Southern California, but at the Glen Helen venue, which is super hilly. So it'll be interesting to see how they compare.
Yeah, and I was excited to see too that they. I was afraid that when they got that Tejon Ranch deal that they kind of abandoned Glen Helen, but it looks like that's one of the last, like late October, they're going back to Glen Helen, which is great because that's a really. I always say I love that course before the event and after the event, just not during the event because it is so hilly and massive hills.
Yeah,
but
Glen Helen's a brutal one. Glen Helen's a brutal one. You mentioned it's the first toughest mudder of the year. You've done several toughest mudders. What are your thoughts on bringing toughest mudder back to California?
I love it simply because just logistically it suits me great, and I kind of know the area, so that's great. But yeah, I'm super excited. Although it was also nice to, travel around and see some of these other toughest events in years past. But, I mean, the less I have to travel, especially if it's going to be for a toughest, then, I'm always a fan of that.
Some other events to kind of highlight. The second event of the year is in Atlanta. You've been to this venue in Fairburn. What do you think about Atlanta, April 24th, 25th?
I don't know. I don't know why. This is going to sound horrible. I don't know why I don't like Atlanta. I mean, the venue is great. Don't get me wrong. I love the venue. And we had such different experiences between 2018 and 2019, like weather-wise and everything between the two worlds. Just that part of the country doesn't necessarily excite me, but I do love that venue. It's a really fun course.
Atlanta's like the opposite of Glen Helen for you. Like, you like the venue in Atlanta, but you don't like everything else. Glen Helen, you like everything else.
Right. And I don't know if maybe, especially with Worlds being there, I don't know if it was just because, maybe we were spoiled from numerous years being in Vegas for Worlds, where like the event's over and you've got all this stuff to do because you're in Vegas. Not that there's nothing to do in Atlanta, but it's not Vegas, right? So who knows? Maybe if it was in Texas, I'd be saying the same thing about Texas. Because it's just not Vegas. I don't know. I could be totally skewed in my opinion.
We're not going to talk about every single venue, but if you look at the dates, there are no weekends where there's two venues at the same time. Like if you wanted to, you could go to every single venue this year in 2021.
Well, I didn't notice that. You're right. That would be a lot of moving around, but you're absolutely right. You could totally do that. Oh man, I was looking, Twin Cities in July. You know how humid that's going to be? Like, oof. I did not know that it got that humid in Minnesota until we were there last year. Oh, actually, were you at that one? No, you weren't there, were you?
This is going to sound stupid. I don't know if I was at the Minnesota one or the Michigan one. Where did they have toughest? It was 2 years ago. They had a toughest up there near there. Was that in Minnesota?
Okay. Well, I've never been to Michigan, so if we were there together, it wasn't Michigan. It must have been Minnesota.
People listening to us are like, you don't remember where you went? Like, we go to a lot of these, you guys.
I know. But I've been to a lot of places. This is great. I'm really fortunate. I see they have, sorry, I'm jumping around on you. Are there certain ones you want to talk about?
Let's talk about the toughest venues. The three toughest next year, LA, we talked about already. The second one is going to be in Philly, May 22nd and May 23rd. Have you been to Philly before?
I did Philly. Yes. I covered Philly, in 2019. And that was also a very humid course. Yeah, that one was good. It's literally out in the middle of some guys. You're out in the, in like the Mennonite country, right? You got the folks in their wagons and
the Amish
and all that. The Amish. Thank you. Did I say Mennonite? Yeah. The Amish. And that was really interesting to me. I've never experienced that before, so it was really interesting. Really neat part of the country. Just miles and miles of rolling farmland. It's really, really cool. And the venue is literally like some guy's farm. He just has everybody out on the farm, and they just knock down a path. And there's spiders everywhere, by the way. If you're not a spider person, good luck with that one. There's lots of spiders at that venue. I remember that because I'm not a big spider guy. But yeah, like those were ones that were like, Sean Corbell was fun to hang out with that event because he's not a big spider guy either. And they just kind of come up and start talking to you.
You know, you can think you're super like hardcore guy, but then you walk through a spider web and you're like, ew, ew, ow, ew, get it off me, ew.
Yeah. And if no one sees that you walk through a spider web, they think you just snapped for some reason.
You're having a seizure. Yeah.
You're just flailing your arms like an idiot. I forget who. Oh, that was a comedian. That was somebody's joke I just stole, by the way. Some comedian said that at one point. But anyway, yeah, that's so Philly will be great. And then let's see, that's May 22nd, 23rd, and then the last one is toughest Chicago, which is August 14th, 15th. I just assume all of these things are going to be hot and humid. I don't spend a lot of time in the Midwest, but to me, it's like that time of year. It's just hot and humid, right? August, Chicago.
So Chicago, the very first year they had a Toughest Mudders, which was 2017, a few years ago, 2018 maybe. Toughest Mudders, they had 4 in the U.S., and Chicago was the last one on the schedule. And I remember looking at that and seeing at the beginning of the year and saying that's going to be a flat. But it's I ran this one. It's basically right next to a airport, next to a runway. And so the venue is super. It's one of the flattest venues I've ever run. So I remember sitting at the beginning of the year thinking, if I'm going to make you had to get 25 miles in 8 hours.
25 miles, yeah.
And I was like, if I'm going to get my contender status this year, that's the venue I'm going to get it at. And so I trained all year, and I took it serious, and I got it at that venue. And I barely got it. It was like give or take 10 minutes. I came in, I finished my 25 miles at like 8:20. The whole last lap, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And you're running, and then you're walking, and you're running, and then you're walking. And then the last obstacle is Kong. And you can see the finish line. But I'm like, there's no way I'm making it across this right now. This is after 8 hours, right? 8 hours and change. And so I fall off of Kong, I fall onto the mat, you roll off, and you have to go do a penalty carrying a sandbag around a loop. And I didn't have a watch. I didn't know what time it was exactly. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. And I'm like halfway through the penalty lap, and I got 100 feet, 200 feet. It's so close. And I'm just like sweating. And then I hear, I don't know if it was Sean or whoever the finish line guy was, like, you've got 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left. And I was like, I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. And anyway, I started tearing up, and I wasn't even across the finish line yet. So that was a great. I love that venue. It's flat. It's not like anything special about it, but I had such a great experience there at Toughest Mudder Chicago a few years ago. Anyway, looking forward to that one.
Yeah, no, dude, those are the best. Those are my favorite kind of memories from the event, really. Stuff like that. I did that my very first Worlds when I had come in at the end of my 9th lap, and I was going back out for my 10th and final lap, and I knew I had plenty of time to finish. It was kind of just a little one last trip around. But I got emotional in the pit before I headed out because it was I knew, barring some catastrophic injury or something, that I was going to get my 50, which I had trained a year and a half for. So yeah, that's why that event 2015 was always my favorite, because it was the first one that I did and I got my 50. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Before we talk about World's Toughest Mudder, are there any of these other venues, the regular Tough Mudders, that jump out to you? Maybe
there's a couple. Well, have you ever done the Seattle one?
I have not.
Dude, the Seattle one, it's Black Diamond, Washington. It's such a great venue. It's wooded, and the ground is soft. And again, it's late September, so you never know. You're going to get dumped on rain, or it's just you probably won't see the sun. Don't plan on seeing the sun because it is Seattle after all. But actually, do you know the secret? Well, it's not a very big secret, but do you know the secret to that venue about why Tough Mudder is held there?
Tell me, I don't.
Okay. So you remember former Tough Mudder overall good guy extraordinaire race director Nolan Cumbold?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is his family's property. His grandparents or someone owned that. It's it's an old, some kind of a mine mining area, or used to be, and that's owned by his family, the Combold family, and that's how they first started using that venue.
How cool would it be to be like, hey, Grandpa, this company I work for, they want to come play in our backyard. Is that okay? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let them build some walls.
Yeah. So that once I learned that was kind of cool. But
that is cool.
Nowadays, I mean, people. Well, unfortunately, as time goes on, less and less folks will remember Nolan, which is too bad because him and Eli were great people, but probably still are. But and the other one that I'm excited about is they've got another NorCal event. It still says coming soon, and I love the fact that they're going to have a NorCal event. They had it out at Sonoma Raceway for a couple of years. Well, 2017 we didn't have it because we were burning down. But 2018, remember they relocated the toughest.
Yeah.
Then in 2018 because we had been rained out in Southern California that year. So I really hope that they come back to Sonoma Raceway. And if they go to Sacramento, of course I'll do it because it's within a couple hours of me. But that's just where they go out there is not my favorite venue in the world. There's not a lot of great things that are happening around Sacramento, but it's just hot and flat. But yeah, so I'm hoping they bring back the Sonoma Raceway one for that NorCal event.
It was a couple years ago, but the only daytime toughest mudder they ever had was up in NorCal, the one you were talking about.
That's right. Won by Chris Mendoza. He beat Trevor Sykos that day. That was the first event I ever covered for you, actually.
Aw.
Yeah. That was the one when you were like, man, who is this talented guy? And I was like, I know, right? So, and then the rest, as they say, Wilfred Allen Hicks, is history.
We talked about Glen Helen already a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Way to let that just die. Way to go. Thanks, man. That's going to sound great.
No one likes to hear me laugh. Like, I want your jokes to have the space they need to breathe.
Well, if I'm trying to be funny, it would help if, give the guests a little something. Give me a chuckle, man.
I don't know if you heard, but 2020, we're not doing live audiences. Nothing in the stands. So you're just playing to an open crowd.
Okay, fair enough.
We talked about Glen Helen a little bit. I am looking forward to that. That's probably I don't know if it's the hardest, but it's definitely one of the hardest venues that I go to regularly.
Yes. Well, hold on a minute now. All right, let me ask you this. Mr. Will always seems to hurt himself at events. Hicks, are you planning on running Glen Helen October 23rd, 24th?
Oh, geez. That's a really good point. So I have hurt myself 1 month before World's Toughest Mudder 2 of the last 3 years. And,
right.
And the year I didn't hurt myself, I got 3rd place. So in the team category.
The team category. That's right.
We shared a podium with Ryan Atkins, the guy you might have heard of.
Yeah, and the German guys, I think, right? Or no, the German guys are the ones that didn't.
Somebody, I don't know. I don't know who the other 2 guys were, or the other 4 guys were. But no, you're right. So World's Toughest Mudder, they don't have a date announced yet, but it's probably going to be, November 13th and 14th or 20th and 21st.
Yes.
And that's a month after Glen Helen. So you know what?
I didn't mean to bring up bad juju. I'm just saying.
No. I can handle. No, you're right. I'm kind of thinking out loud here, but I don't think I'm going to run Glen Helen. And honestly, I want to run all of these, but I don't know that I will in 2020. Like I need to get my 50 miles at World's Toughest. That's the priority. I got to decide. I was getting all excited about traveling all over the country, but that's a great point, Carlo. I got to think about that.
Well, are you planning on doing a toughest though? You're going to do at least one toughest, right?
Yeah. You know what? I'll probably do the toughest in LA. Just because if I got hurt, it's April 10th and 11th, and I've got 7 months to recover.
Yeah. And so, they say, go ahead.
No, I was looking at Chicago because it's a great venue. It's flat, but I got hurt at a flat venue last year at
Lake Elsinore.
Lake Elsinore, yeah. So it's always something. It's like a stupid fluke thing. Like one year, it was just my foot got stuck on a rock and my leg went one way, my knee went the other way, and then going across Funky Monkey, like I just heard something snap, and so it's always something.
I don't like getting to that heard something snap age. I'm not a fan of that at all. But
seriously, yeah.
I wasn't doing anything that I haven't done before, and then my tendon was like, not today.
The doctor's like, I got my arms MRI'd or whatever by the doctors, and he's looking at it, and he's like, yeah, it's just some natural deterioration because of your age. I'm like, excuse me?
Whoa.
And I was like, natural. So I was like, well, what about my other arm? Like, is this going to happen to my other arm? He's like, well, if you keep doing the same stuff, yeah, probably. I was like, awesome. Thanks, Doc.
You're a horrible doctor. What a horrible.
He was a great surgeon, but he wasn't super encouraging.
No. Find someone like, are the San Diego Gulls still down there? Find their team doctor or something. Go see that guy. Someone who understands athletes. Come on. I mean, you don't have a football team anymore, right? Do you have a football team?
Football team. What do you mean football? Like soccer?
Exactly. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. So let me ask you this, or you can ask me, or we'll ask each other together. So it does say World's Toughest Mudder coming soon. Doesn't give a date. November 6th and 7th, obviously they're in Dallas. Are we going on the assumption that it's in Dallas again? Or do you think that they're going to throw us a curveball?
So I've talked to Kyle several times this year, and the vibe I get from him, he's always, kind of cagey about it. But the vibe I get is that they want to do Dallas, but it's just not locked down yet, or it's just not confirmed, or paperwork's not signed. But I feel like they want to, they did. I mean, like they were planning on doing World's Toughest there until just recently. Like they did a lot of work, a lot of research. They'd already done some trips out there. They had probably obstacles designed for certain parts of the course. They probably have. There's a course map already made, right? So I feel like they want to do Dallas just because they've already put a lot of work into it and they know it. And they've scheduled the regular Tough Mudder, appropriately for that November 6th, 7th.
That's what made me wonder, right? It's always a few weeks after.
Yeah, usually it's 2 weeks. That's getting kind of close to Thanksgiving. I'm not sure the exact date of Thanksgiving, but if it was the 20th, 21st of November, I think that would work still. So I think it's Dallas. If I had to bet money, I'd put it on Dallas, but I don't think it's confirmed yet.
And I think if it's the same venue they were talking about last year, that's where the toughest was last year in 2019.
Oh, okay.
It's like a motocross ATV track, which is actually really cool. Really muddy. Again, big spiders because, Texas. But yeah, actually, I really liked that event. And I liked it because I don't remember when I think it was like in August or September, the previous year. And that was like, I was in shorts and a t-shirt like all night long throughout the night covering that event.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
The weather wasn't nice when the sun was out, but overnight it was a wonderful venue.
Were the athletes wearing wetsuits overnight?
Some folks were, absolutely. But like your Trevors, or I don't remember who was actually at that event, but a lot of the top athletes, if anything, they were like in a spring suit.
Sure.
But not like a full 3 mil, like a 3.2 or something like that. You didn't see a lot of the top athletes going to full wetsuits at all because, they're just running so fast and it was so warm. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I have not been to it yet, but there is also a Europe's Toughest Mudder next year in June.
Oh, is it June?
June 21st.
Okay. Usually, I don't have the European calendar, so
usually it's on Mother's Day weekend, which is a no-go for me, right? Like I can't schedule anything for that weekend.
Right.
But last year, before we had January, February last year, or this year rather, we had the schedule and it wasn't on Mother's Day. It was like a week after, I think, for 2020 it was planned. And so my wife and I, COVID hit and changed everything, but we were talking about like, hey, what if we went to maybe like a family trip and, Toughest Mudder UK. So we'll probably have that conversation, seeing how COVID willing, that might happen
COVID
next year.
Yeah. Giles Chater, the Tough Mudder UK, what is he, president or whatever he is, leader of the king of Tough Mudder Europe, I guess.
Yeah, that's what they have. They don't have CEOs; they have kings. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. He's the king. I'll have to send him a message later. I told him that. But because he's been bugging me for like over a year now since we've met to be like, dude, you got to come over to the UK. You got to check out Toughest UK. And of course, I always default to you. I'm like, well, I got to talk to Will. Let's see what Will says. And but I would love to go over there and check out a Toughest. And so, let's keep that in mind, Will. We'll see you, COVID willing.
You know what?
Right?
Yeah, Midlands, the regular race at the same venue as the week before. So, it's the same weekend. Anyway, it'd be fun to do that either way.
Yeah, and it's June? Oh, yeah, June, you said.
Yeah, June 12th and 13th.
So that means it'll be probably only in the like 50s or something. Which is warm.
But it'll be in Celsius, so it'll be like 7 or
exactly.
whatever that means. I don't know.
I know.
So
what else we got, Willie?
You mentioned your show, Piss and Cox. We're very excited at the OCR report to be the new home of Piss and Cox. Congratulations.
And we're really excited to bring it up. It seems kind of like a natural progression that we'd end up there eventually, especially, the more that you and I work together through the OCR report and doing events and reporting together. So, it just kind of fit that this all kind of worked out together. And again, it's been a little weird with COVID times because there really hasn't been a lot. I mean, the last episode we had done, Josh and I, was right when Spartan had just kind of acquired Tough Mudder out of bankruptcy. It was kind of like this, hey, here we go, full speed ahead. Here comes the 2020 season, y'all. Woo! And everything shut down.
So some people might wonder how the Piss and Cox show is a little more edgy than the more traditional family-friendly content we usually have. So people might wonder, how does that fit? And the way we're going to do it is you guys are going to do your show and do whatever you want. Like no one's saying don't do this, don't do that. But we'll just have like a little sticker on the front that says, hey, parents, this isn't for kids. And that'll be on the YouTube channel, the OCR Report YouTube channel. And then an edited version of just the audio will appear on the podcast. And so hopefully what happens is people hear it, they like it, and they'll go see, if they want the full meal deal, they'll go check it out on YouTube.
Yes. You'll have like the Tipper Gore version, and you'll have the, the Sam Kinison version. Right? Look at that. I'm just going to drudge up names from the 90s.
Tipper Gore. Wow.
Was it? Yeah, she was was it the CPRC or she's the one that came up with, she was part of that group that's how we got those warning labels on records. It was her, the little committee she was on in Washington.
The parental advisory stickers?
Yeah. That was Tipper Gore. She was one of the spearheads of that whole thing.
Thank you, Tipper. I appreciate the work.
That's right. There's a great video of on YouTube of Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, like sitting in front of the panel, like defending their position as musicians and that kind of stuff.
The PMRC has made public a list of 15 of what they feel are some of the most blatant songs lyrically. On this list is our song, We're Not Gonna Take It, upon which has been stowed a V rating indicating violent lyrical content. You'll note from the lyrics before you that there is absolutely no violence of any type, either sung about or implied anywhere in the song.
Really interesting stuff. And they've all got their 90s ladies' hair and the jumpsuits and stuff. It was fascinating television back then. But and I'm old, so I remember those things because I was a MTV kid. Back when they had videos. Did I age myself further?
It's okay if you date yourself because no one else is.
Thank you. I'm slightly older than you. So you're the youngest guy on this podcast right now.
The one thing we have not talked about is virtual toughest and virtual world's toughest mudder this year. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I'm excited. My virtual toughest bib just came in the mail this week. And dude, I was like legit excited to get it. Just because it's been so long since there's been, events or anything, like just to be able to hold a bib and be like, this is going to be great. So I'm really excited about that. Still don't know exactly how it's going to go, right? They haven't given a whole lot of detail about like what the obstacle type thing is going to do or how that's going to look. But I'm pretty sure Josh and I are going to do that together. I think we're hoping to use, where our gym is, it's kind of in a industrial park. And so I think we should be able to even if the gym's not open, we should be able to like use that outside of the gym as our base of operations and not bug anybody, for 12 hours in the middle of the night. Cause using outside of my place, I've got like neighbors. And so they probably wouldn't want to have us running around and talking and being loud throughout the night.
Sure.
So having that be in the industrial park, I think that's probably a good bet. So yeah, I'm actually really excited about it. Are you doing that?
I am.
Are you doing virtual worlds?
I will be. And that's going to be harder to pull off than a regular Worlds Eve, which sounds backwards, but at a regular world's like you travel somewhere and you go to Dallas or you go to Atlanta. Virtual world, right. I'm going to do it at my house, right? Like I have to be like, my daughter's going to be like, hey, can you read me a story? And I'll be like, no, daddy needs to go take a bath in ice.
Exactly. Sorry, man. Well, what are you going to do? By the way, do you know where you're going to do your toughest or Tough Mudder world's toughest at?
So I planned out like a 2.5 mile out and back, like the flattest area around me.
Okay.
Unless you need elevation, like I could see them saying like, okay, you need to put in 1,000 feet of elevation in the next whatever, and then I just jump on a treadmill. So I don't know.
I don't know if they could do that honestly, because if there's one thing I've learned from this challenge this month is that there are people who live in parts of the country where there's just no elevation.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So I think that would be pretty tough because they would limit some folks there. But I mean, who knows? They could just be like, well,
do 1,000 squats. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I don't know. I haven't made a decision on world's toughest yet. I don't know why I haven't. I just haven't. You know what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to see how the virtual toughest goes. And then if that doesn't kill me, then I'm like, well, okay, maybe we'll do that. So although I'm probably end up doing it because what else am I going to do, Will? What else am I going to do, man? Right?
Your November is pretty open right now.
Yeah, I've got Thanksgiving on the schedule. That's about it. I mean, let's be fair. We can't go anywhere else. Anywhere I want to go would be international. And, they're not really allowing us to. Oh, I could go to Albania, though. I have friends in Albania. But not quite ready to go see them in November. It's a little cold in Albania in November.
These are crazy times, man. Crazy times.
It is.
Carlo, do you have any last thoughts? Anything else you want to talk about with the community before we go?
No, I think we're looking good. I'm looking forward to, like you said, getting these challenges going or continuing on. I'm excited to see what the next month one is. Virtual toughest is going to be great. I look forward to that. And just excited that we were able to make things work with Piss and Cox Show coming to the OCR report.
How can people follow you on social media?
You can follow me on Instagram. The handle is Carlo with no S, and there's underscores between each word and the S. And that's really, I have Twitter, but I don't ever use it. So it's the same handle, but you'll never see me on there. But that's my Instagram. So if you're doing it for the gram, that's where you'll find me.
Carlo Piscitello, any last thoughts?
Well, thanks. I'm sitting pretty, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
Carlo Piscitello, thanks much.
See you, bud.
Special thanks to Carlo Piscitello for appearing in today's episode. You can hear more from Carlo, see more from Carlo on the OCR Report YouTube channel and his show, Piss and Cox. Check it out. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can listen to our other OCR Report podcasts at theocrreport.com. And be sure to do Virtual Toughest this weekend. What else are you doing at 8 p.m. on Saturday night? Come on. It's 12 hours. You can do anything for 12 hours. I will talk with you soon. Go watch Eco Challenge so we can talk about it. Go spend time with someone you love.